donations to Campbell.
Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. It's Wednesday morning, and as you can see, it's overcast. The breeze is coming in, I guess, from the west, southwest, whilst looking at those flags. And it's another glorious start to the day. I love these early morning starts, and hence why I really enjoy delivering Jim's 5 a.m. Club, because getting up early, starting fresh, starting anew is always a wonderful way to look at life, because every single morning is a fresh start. Every single morning is a new year, so to speak. And today is no different. What I want to do is take you through a book summary, another wonderful book summary that I've come across. And the book summary that we're going to go through today is entitled Do What Matters Most by Steven Shallenberger. Steve Shallenberger, the author of Do What Matters Most. And we're basically going to cover a topic that many books cover, and it's all about goal setting, it's all about time management. But it's one of those lessons that, even though lots of people have talked about it, most of us can't quite master, and every day is a challenge to get the most out of each and every day. So the author offers a few tips, a few skills that we may want to incorporate into our daily schedule. And he kicks off with an observation, a wonderful observation. And he says that replacing rudeness and impatience with the golden rule may not change the world, but it will change your world and your relationships. So if we're able to focus on our mindset, focus on time management, be more organized, be more planned, then, as we said, it's not going to change the world, but it's most definitely going to change our world and our relationship with people around us, which is very important, because if we change, then our world changes. So what the author here is reminding us is that we need to spend some time examining what we're doing, how we're doing it, when we're doing it, and to try and manage it in a way which reduces stress to us and reduces stress to those around us, our families, our partners, our work peers, and most importantly ourselves, because we have a duty. Each and every one of us have a duty to do the best we can with the time we have available to us, and not to put pressure on other people through us being disorganized and unorganized. So the first formal point to come out of this book from this author is where he basically talks about the importance of setting goals and being productive. And the point that he makes is that to become more productive, one must set SMART goals. S-M-A-R-T, SMART goals. And this is a concept that I came across many years ago as a young executive. So we'll go through what SMART, the acronym SMART, actually means. And the author says to become more productive, one must set SMART goals, but not only set the SMART goals, but also to stick to them and to live by them. So he says that it's important to be able to break the tasks and work that we're doing in our lives, our goals, into urgency and importance. There are things that we do which are highly stressful and highly important, have a high priority. There are others which are high stress with low priority. There are things which are low stress, high priority, and there are things which are low stress and low priority. And the author, surprisingly, says that we should be spending all of our lives, all of our time, working and spending most of our time on things which are low stress and low priority. But how do you get to have a life which is detailed or defined by low stress and low priority. The author says that it comes through being very organised. So the more organised we can be in our life, the more structured we can be in our planning, the more foresight that we give to what we do and why we do it, then the more time we have available to us to do it. But not only do we have more time, but we feel less stress because we're doing the things that matter most. So let's have a look at the word SMART and break it down to its individual components. So SMART goals, basically, according to the author, need to be specific. You need to be clear, you need to be unambiguous with the goals that you set. They need to be very, very clear that even a 4-year-old can understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and when you have to do it by. So I remember working at Advantra, and we had a CEO then, Craig Cameron, who would always say that when we're setting up scopes of work in terms of dealing with clients, in terms of what work we're going to do for that client, it needs to be very, very clear and unambiguous, because if you've got any ambiguity, then what it's going to do is it's going to spoil the show, because people are going to nickel and dime each other, and they're going to play the game of words, and we're never going to get a clear understanding and a clear agreement. So it's all about having a clear vision in terms of where you're going in the future. So it's all about clarity. So be specific in the goal that you're setting. The goals need to be measurable. So the second letter of SMART, M, means measurable. You need to have measure in there. If it can't be measured, then it can't be achieved, according to the old IBM adage that I grew up with when I worked in IBM in the mid-80s. You know, if you can't measure it, then you can't make it happen. So things need to be measurable. So we need to identify what the key performance indicators, what the measures are. You know, how will we know if we're on track? How will we know if we've gotten there? It all depends on us being able to identify, understand, and clearly articulate the measure of our performance. The third thing in terms of the SMART goals, the A, the SMA of a SMART goal, is it needs to be achievable. There's no use stretching yourself to the point where you're doing things that you can't really believe or actually achieve. So things that we do need to be broken down into steps that we can achieve, rather than just have some ambiguous goal that I want to be the best in the world at something. You know, you need to break it down into steps. You need to be able to achieve those steps, because if you don't see or if you can't think that you're going to achieve it, then you're not going to want to try and even go for it in the first place. The R means that they need to be, I've forgotten what the R stands for. I've used measurable twice. So I think the R stands for, needs to be results oriented. So we need to be able to see the end in mind. And the T in SMART means time bound. Our goals need to have an end date, need to have a deadline, because goals with a deadline create urgency, and it makes it very, very real to us. And unless you can see it, taste it, feel it, then you're not going to be committed to trying to chase it. So the next point on this list from this author, so the second formal point to come out of this book, is where the author talks about the importance of planning your time, and planning your time weeks ahead of time to avoid procrastination and to become more time efficient and effective. A lot of people try to be efficient with their plans, but the author here reminds us that it's more important to be effective. And in order to be effective, you need to be organized, you need to be planned, you need to be in a position to be able to do what you need to do without being stretched too far and too much, and to be in a position to execute in a measured way. So we need to eliminate, according to this author, chaos and any unstructure that we have in our lives. Now, it's good to be spontaneous, but if you're spontaneous and out of control all the time, then the people around you are going to suffer, you're going to suffer, and you're going to basically go where your momentum takes you and where you, where you feel most excited, which isn't really going to lead you to doing the things which are most important in order to get you to where you need to be and achieving the goals that you've set for yourself. So the golden rule, the golden point from this book is that the author says that you need to leave half an hour in your calendar to plan your day. You can do it the day before, so the last half hour of the day is planning your next day, or you can do it very, very early in the morning if you're getting up at 5 o'clock or very, very early, to give you time to mull over the task of the day and to get prepared mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually to take on those challenges that you've set for yourself in the SMART goals. So the author says it's important to plan your own goals that meet your ambitions, because if you don't plan your day, others will plan it for you, and you don't want to be doing what everybody else wants you to do if it doesn't match and align to your goals, your ambitions, your values, and the actions that you want to take. So we need to be able to turn vague ideas into action. We need to stay on track and don't let momentum or bursts of energy derail us. I remember many years ago going to a Jim Rohn seminar, and he always talked about staying on track. Are you on track or off track? He used to say. And I used to laugh when he used to say it. But you got to stay on track, he used to say. And that will never ever leave me. And I was just so lucky to have been to some of his seminars and to have seen him live and to have experienced his vibe. So at the end of the day, we need to build a productive routine. Whatever we do needs to be productive. Whatever we do needs to be purposeful and not to be doing it by chance. You can just be spontaneous from time to time, but to be effective in life, to be efficient in life, to live a life of low stress and low pressure, means that we need to be organised, and we need to organise those around us so that we can get the outcomes that we need in order to be happy, I guess, at the end of the day, with making the most of the time that we have available to us. So the last point that the author gives us or shares with us is that we need to give each task in your planned schedule a specific deadline, and we need to be very specific in terms of what that deadline is, and not only to ourselves, but we also need to be specific to those around us. You know, I need you to do this by when. You know, the last thing you want to do is to be telling people, oh, I need this report, but not to tell them when you need the report by, because you know what's going to happen. It's going to go to the bottom of their priority list. So you need to be organised in terms of how you approach and deal with the people around you, knowing very well that your priorities aren't necessarily their priorities, and we need to be able to fit in with how others work, to be fair with them, and to be fair with us as well. So the author then goes on to say, and I need to get on this train now, that we need to eliminate, where possible, the procrastinations that we have in our lives, the things that stop us from deciding, the things that stop us from taking action, and the things that hold us back from achieving what we need to achieve. So I'm on the train now, heading to Mascot, and as I say, where else in the world could you be and see this magnificent view? The view of Sydney Harbour, the view from Circular Quay Station, where you've got the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge presented beautifully before you. It's an absolute masterpiece. I just love to sit here with an easel one day and some crayons and some ink, and just to draw this picture, because it's a picture that I've loved ever since I was a kid. So getting back to the point, the author says here that we need to eliminate procrastination, and we need to be pre-prepared, just like a chef in a restaurant preparing for a wedding feast. We need to pre-prepare, we need to be pre-organised, we need to pre-cook the things that we can pre-cook, and we need to follow a recipe, and we need to have the right ingredients. So the last point that the author talks about is that we need to be productive, which means that we don't need, or we need to avoid being counter or unproductive. And that comes through planning. And interestingly enough, by planning, the author reminds us that your productivity can skyrocket by 50 to 80%. So being organised, being planned, being prepared, having a plan, having a task list, having deadlines, having smart goals are going to help enhance our lives. They're not going to send us backwards, they're going to at least give us something to work on and something to do. I remember my rugby coach from when I was 12 years old, Frank Dockery, would always say that what we need to do is to plan our day, or plan our work, should I say, and then work our plan. Plan our work and then spend the day working our plan. And he became very, very successful in his own right, and it's a message that I'll carry on for as long as I live. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where we've gone through another book summary, which talks about that perennial topic of time management. And the book is entitled Do What Matters Most by Steven Shallenberger. And we've learned a few skills, a few tricks, and hopefully we can incorporate them into our daily schedule. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode. I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message of empowerment, where we can share life hacks and skills with each other that may in some way improve our day, improve our lives, enabling us to live, learn and pass it on, and to add to the list of things that we already know. Because as we know, the art of learning is attaching the unknown to the known. And the more you know, the more you're capable of knowing. The more you learn, the more you're capable of learning. And the more you do, the more you're capable of doing. So wishing you all the best on this Hump Day Wednesday. And we'll chat again shortly. Take care, yasas, and bye for now.